Welcome into the latest edition of Hotty Chat. Today we are joined by Russ Edens, a columnist with HottyToddy.com that covers the Ole Miss hockey team. Russ, can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a freshman at Ole Miss. I live in Oxford. I started working with the team a year ago. So this is my second year as an intern. First year as a writer for them. I tracked a lot of stats for the team last year, and I wrote breakdowns for them. And I'm excited to do new things for them this year.
What got you into the sport?
Really, I was sitting in class one day in 11th grade, in my AP chemistry class, and I was bored. And I just decided to get in hockey one day, so I looked it up on a team, and it took off from there. It wasn't to it really.
From doing stats from hockey compared to doing baseball, softball, basketball stats, have you seen, like, is it easy to comprehend, or did it take you some time to get used to?
It's a very fast paced game. That and basketball are very fast paced. Baseball is much slower, so those are much easier to track. The world of baseball stats though are much more advanced than hockey.
Right.
There's a lot of you can go on the internet and find any sort of stats you want for baseball. For hockey in the NHL, you have to pay for the services. There's a guy named Corey Snyder who tracks stats for NHL games all the time, and it's on Patreon. And so what I did was similar to what Snyder did, but just for the Ole Miss hockey team. And it took a long time for every game. They play in two sets of games, so on Friday and Saturday usually, and it takes about a day to get all the stats tracked. And last year as a senior in high school, I had a lighter schedule than most, so I had more time. And yeah, it was challenging at first, but the hardest part about it is just the amount of time it takes, I think.
Coming, like last year, you said that you started with the hockey, with the Ole Miss hockey team. How did you get involved? Like, did you just call up one day and just say, hey, look?
I was looking for their schedule on Twitter because I had been to a game that past January, and it was in July. It was in early August, and I was trying to find a schedule, and I found the internship thing. So I emailed them my resume and whatnot, and they got back to me, and yeah, it just sort of took off from there.
Nice. With being there with them for a year, what do you take away from last year's team to hope to see from them this year?
Um, there's a lot of improvements that can be made. There's they can get a lot better, and I understand how the whole thing works now. The team operates, how practices go, and it's it's very difficult to play club hockey. I learned that it's hard to drive over there. I never played hockey, so I don't know what it's like to be out there on the ice. But just going down there and back, coming back at 2 o'clock in the morning, we had to wake up for class the next day. Isn't easy. Like it's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
It's a grind for them, and I definitely have a lot of respect for the players, what they do every day, and the fact that they are trying as hard as they are it tells a lot about them. And I'm excited to see the new team this year and how I hope they can improve a lot and maybe make the playoffs this year.
So last year, how far did they make it?
Well, they didn't have the playoffs last year.
Right.
Last year was a pretty bad year.
Yeah.
I think it was an odd year because they're 2-3 years removed from winning the championship,
Right.
and I guess they lost a lot of their core players. They didn't make it very far last year. It was a rough year, but I hope hopefully some of the freshmen, some of the older guys from this year will carry the team a little more, and we'll have a much better year.
Just going off of that. You've started a new weekly column for High County. In the past 5 days last week, you basically gave a glossary of hockey to the followers. Just where do you see the column going in the next couple of weeks? Could you allude to it?
Yeah, I've got an article coming out soon about the schedule. It's going to be breaking down the schedule, and next week it's going to be a tryout article. So it'll just go with all the new players and some of the returning ones. And in games or weeks that they do not have games, I'll talk about players. I'll have interviews of players, and I'll ask them questions and whatnot, and I'll get people to get to know the players. And what I want to do is for games, I'll break down the game like I did last year, except it'll be in a more, I guess you could say, elaborate form, not so condensed. It'll explain more of the game. That way, it's a small game here, so it'll introduce more about hockey here.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to take a look at other teams in the league. So, for instance, if Alabama, which is like a really good team in this league, if they're 10th and we're 15th, how many more points do we need to leapfrog them?
Right.
How many more points do we need to get into a playoff spot? And I think that's something I'm going to really focus on is how close are we to the playoffs, and what do we need to do? Like what teams need to lose and what teams need to win for that to happen.
We were talking the other day, and you said something about them having an interest meeting.
Yeah.
How did that go?
They had an interest meeting last night. There was a good crowd there. A lot of the players weren't there. I think 10 to 12 are missing. It went very well, I think. Everyone seemed to be, they were a good crowd, like I said. So hopefully there's a lot of new guys coming in. There's several guys on the team who were there that I recognize from last year. I mean, I know all of them, not personally, but I do know their names. That I'm excited to see this year. Jake Keller, for instance, I'm excited to see him play. I don't really know why he came on the team as late as he did, but he wasn't there the first half of the season. And then he came on the second half, and I think I found out last night it's because there wasn't a spot for him on the team. But then there was, and he was really well in the short amount of time he played. And so I'm excited to see him play. And but the meeting itself went very well. I found out a lot about the team actually in the league itself. I did not know because there isn't a lot of information about the league out there, and so I learned a lot about the league itself and the team and how they operate, and it was very insightful for me.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Basically, just kind of every week, just kind of if you want to come on and give like an update, like we're doing right now, that'd be good to go with your podcast. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got.
Okay.
But yeah, y'all stay tuned to HottyToddy.com to follow Russ and follow the Ole Miss hockey team. It should be a great year. Have a great day. Welcome back. Today we're going to look at the whole college football landscape as we look back to last year as the staff of HottyToddy did a weekly pick'em of 185 games. And with me right now is the winner of last year's pick'em, HottyToddy graduate assistant Carly Harvin.
Mm-hmm. Happy to be here.
Thanks. Carly, just over, it was 25 weeks, like 20 weeks that we did this from week 0 to the Super Bowl. Just what was your kind of overall thought process of it?
Well, I do know that we started off with like Ole Miss versus, whoever during those seasons. And I was like, well, if it's like Ole Miss and Alabama is undefeated at the time,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to pick Ole Miss. So part of my strategy was we don't always need to pick Ole Miss. Sorry, I'm not,
You're right. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to win. Sometimes, you have to be sensible. But I did that for the Ole Miss games. But for the Super Bowl, I had to look at actual stats and records for that one and see which was better because I didn't really have a preference on the NFL. But
So, your overall win total was 138 to 47, which, of course, I was right behind you, 130 to 53, so there's that. But, what, did you enjoy the college part of it more or the NFL?
I think I like the college part of it more because I just saw it more on my social media side and just seeing what all the reactions were to the fans. NFL, I haven't really been like a big person about it, but I mean, my team is the Steelers, and their season is. Well, y'all know about that. So there's that.
Well, I mean, it's one of those situations to where we got good interaction last year as we went through the season and did the pits of just what the readers thought compared to what the staff picked.
I saw many comments that were getting kind of heated, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, y'all are like very serious about this. I might need to, get serious too.
Right.
So,
So, I mean, it's kind of like, it's hard to believe that, we're taking those days away from school starting. Less than a week away from the kickoff of college football as Notre Dame's will play Navy and Ireland to start us off this year. But it's going to be an interesting year. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how the SEC does to the rest of the just rush college
especially
football.
with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma.
Well, that won't be until next year.
Okay, well,
So, yeah.
that's still gonna be talked about.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, technically they're here, but not
Yeah.
here. But
but
yeah.
we'll see.
And then the whole thing with the Pac-12 guy. I mean, yeah, every Pac-12 team is gone except 4. So that's gonna be interesting next year. So, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun season ahead of us, and Ole Miss gonna have a tough schedule. Going to Alabama, going to Auburn, going to Georgia. So, as myself, a fan, stepping away from being hard nosed about this, I'm gonna say 8-4.
There might be some surprises, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
As a reporter, I want to say 9-3, 7-5 to 9-3, somewhere in there. But 8-4 sounds about right. I can't see going 10-2 with the only losses being either LSU, Georgia, or Alabama, Georgia. So
Yeah, well, we might get some surprises with Dart, but
yeah,
we'll see. Because we had some surprises last year that we expected to win, and we lost, but that was that.
I'm really excited to see how Quinton Jerkins looks in his second year.
Oh yeah, he was great last year, and I'm
Yeah.
expecting even better things from him this year. So.
He's huge this year. And being out at practice a little bit that we have, he's getting big over the summer. So, yep. But yeah, we appreciate y'all tuning in this week, and check us out next week as we start our college football pick'em as staff picks. We will go from week 0 all the way to the Super Bowl like we did last year. But we'll start that next week, and that should be out on Thursday afternoons. But yeah, looking forward to this season. Y'all have a good one.